Now we're going to talk about triggers and how we understand and navigate them. So triggers happen when we least expect them, and they remind us that there are still emotional scars from past experiences. For me, they pop up all the time. They set off flashback memories or emotional activations from old wounds, and it really can assign new meaning to our current environment, and it can cause chaos when there really shouldn't be. So when we say that we're triggered, it means that we're revisiting our past painful memories. And different things can trigger different people. Like, everyone's different. We've all got unique histories and experiences. So it's crucial to notice when a situation results in physiological changes in your body, such as a racing heart, sweaty palms, trembling, inability to speak, fidgeting, shakiness. These are all signs that you need to come back into the present moment and be aware that something from the past is also here. So common triggers can include feelings of rejection, abandonment, being ignored, betrayed, blamed, shamed, helpless, experiencing unwanted advances, mocking, feeling controlled, deceived, or unsafe. Those are all very, very typical trigger experiences. And you might also experience triggers like guilt when you set boundaries, frustration when you feel misunderstood, shame when you don't meet someone's expectations, sadness after you've been rejection, and fear of the worst outcome. You can feel stress from being overwhelmed, feelings of failure, and isolation from not being heard or seen. Most everybody feels anxiety in the face of uncertainty and discomfort in new situations. So notice which of these triggers resonates with you. Triggers can also come from sounds, people, places, the media, feelings, situations, dates, things, objects, scents, food, TV, songs, stories. All of these things can create a response based on a thread that's connected to the past memory. So we have 5 major categories of triggers. 1 is environmental, and 2 is environmental. And within the environment, we have people, places, things, and possessions, right? It's not the people themselves triggering you, but rather the experience with that relationship triggering the past experience. So the trigger shows what needs to be healed. And that's your responsibility, is to heal your trigger. But it's also your responsibility to be kind and accepting that you're being triggered, as this is a reflection of your internal environment. The other 2 triggers are body and time. That's your environment. How you think, eat, and move affects your overall well-being. So sometimes it's appropriate to start with the physical. Rest, eat well, move when needed, get outside. All of those things, right, are really, really important. And if we can't handle the trigger in that way, we look somatically. So that's kind of how we work with the body. If we can't go and do the things we love to get out of the trigger, and we stayed stuck in that negative emotion, we can go and we can do a somatic release process for each emotion. Time is an infinite resource, and we often give it away to things that drain our energy and lower our vibration. So when we value ourselves, we value our time, and we're no longer compelled to give it to anyone or anything that drains us. And if we are giving it to those things, that's the trauma. So being triggered really just means we're caught in a past pain in the present moment, and it all comes flooding back. The feelings can be so intense on the body, and it's really not about what's happening now, but it's the association filtered through a lens of our past experience. For example, if you've experienced abandonment, somebody not responding to a text message may trigger this giant fear response, and we can overreact by paragraph texting like I do, shouting, screaming, or projecting, or we can detach, numb, freeze, and dissociate, as these are the coping mechanisms that we learned early in life. But we can come into control of these triggers when we start to look at them, because these reminiscent old feelings open up wounds that haven't had a chance to heal. And it's the chaotic emotional response that feels so awful, because it feels like that old pain is happening now in the body, neurologically and physically, and it takes you into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Causes adrenaline to spike, and stress hormones like cortisol start coursing through the body, and we spiral into a trauma loop, feeling and thinking in ways that reaffirm the deep dominant thought once again. And then we get stuck in that thought. And when we're stuck in that thought, if I'm not worthy, love isn't safe, love comes from abuse, whatever that is, we start to resort to low-level coping mechanisms, and dopamine hits, right? Because trauma damages the hippocampus in the brain, and that's where we store our memories. So we don't see the memory as it was. We store them as the experience was based on our perspective. Because memories are all compressed and fragmented in the brain, so we can't consciously know all of our triggers. And that's why when a certain song comes on, or you smell a certain thing, or you taste a certain thing, it can trigger you. And we don't know what they're related to. We just know that we feel threatened in the body and we respond appropriately. But emotionally, it really doesn't feel good to be triggered. And when healing from trauma and anxiety, it's really important to get the brain and body in sync, which is why creating safety is the foundation for all of this. So this is a way for us to bring things to the surface so you can make a conscious choice of whether or not you're ready to release it and let the energy move through the body, because we need to surrender and accept it as it is. So the first step is noticing the internal shift, right? We notice that I feel different from my normal state. What is it that feels upset? Start to get really clear on what it's bringing up and notice the root that it's coming from. What feelings are associated with this? When I feel anger, I'm feeling heat. Shame feels like I got punched in the stomach, and sadness feels super, super heavy in the heart. And then ask yourself, what does this remind me of? What thoughts are coming up? And is this a specific event from childhood that's stirred up? So in dealing with triggers, we'll be doing a lot of somatic release work, and it's important, super, super important to not bypass these steps and meet yourself where you are. In a perfect world, our parents would have helped us get calm because their system would have been regulated, and they would have been able to teach us how to self-soothe and teach us co-regulation. But most of us grew up in a home where our parents didn't understand that, and their nervous systems were dysregulated, and that's what became attuned to. So become aware of the sensations that are coming up in your body and just give yourself time to pause. There is real wisdom in the silence. You don't need to go anywhere, do anything, remove yourself from the environment, anything right now. You just need to pause, check in with yourself, and say, wow, I feel different. Something's not right here. Then get curious. What is it? That's when the work starts. So what's the blessing in all of this? When we feel our body's neurological and physical symptoms, we want to suppress them. We go on antidepressants and anti-anxiety and all of these medications, and we go drink or we go party or we do things to stay busy so we don't have to feel. The cool thing is your body is always trying to communicate with you. And when you become aware of that and understand why, then and only then can you reprogram it, because it starts to bring peace and calmness into your life. So once you're aware of your physical body and you become connected with it, dealing with triggers just becomes life. Self-soothing becomes the most important thing, and there's no point in judging all the shame and guilt anymore. It just is what it is. We find a healthy way to release the emotional energy by creating safety in the body and peace in our hearts. So these trauma responses and patterns from the past are showing us where we felt danger or faced a threat before that is relative to what's going on right now. And when the trauma brain is active through the body, we really become almost animalistic. In fight or flight or freeze mode, we're surviving. You cannot make logical decisions when you're in survival mode. The body shuts down and we go into behaviors we learned as a child: yelling, crying, numbing, spacing out, lashing out. These are coping mechanisms. So you may feel like a repressed little child having a temper tantrum. To cope, that's okay. That's your inner child communicating with you that there's memories from the past that are fragmented. And what we need to do is take our agency back, reparent our inner child, and change our thoughts. We don't have to do the same thing time and time again. It's time for you to say, I'm going to teach my inner child. I'm going to be kind to him or her. I'm going to reparent them, and I'm going to teach them what to do. So this trigger practice, it's a lifestyle, and it will help you through your entire life. This work never stops. These are just conscious tools to move through triggers. This is how you turn your life around, and you'll be able to enjoy time alone and notice when you're telling a story. Focus on yourself and see that it's not sending you over the edge, and you start to stop taking things so personally. And by working through our own triggers, we can start to hold space for other people that are going through their triggers as well, because we know that it has nothing to do with us. It's just the perfect mirror situation, exposing parts from the past that are ready to heal. And if we truly love one another and we can have compassion for each other to heal, it starts with us, and then we hold space for others. So congratulations, this is a big step, and I'm really excited to see how the triggers go for you.